Most people think the Ford F-150 is just another truck you see everywhere in the United States. Something basic, predictable, and not that special. But what if that's completely wrong? What if this truck is either one of the smartest purchases you can make, or one of the biggest mistakes? Here's the truth. The Ford F-150 is not just popular. It has been the best-selling vehicle in America for decades. And that doesn't happen by accident. There are reasons behind that success, but there are also things nobody tells you before you buy one. In this video, we're breaking down everything. From its history to its engines, from real-world performance to fuel economy, and what it actually feels like to live with it in the United States. By the end, you'll know if this truck is really worth it in 2026. The story of the F-150 goes back to 1948, when Ford introduced the F-Series lineup. Over time, it evolved from a simple work truck into something much bigger. In 1975, the F-150 name became official, and it quickly became the backbone of the American truck market. This truck was built with a clear purpose: strength, durability, and versatility. And that identity has never changed. Today, the F-150 can be both a work tool and a daily driver. That balance is exactly why so many people choose it. Now let's talk about what really matters: the engines. This is where the F-150 becomes very interesting. In the US, you get multiple options depending on your needs, and each one completely changes the driving experience. The base engine is a 3.3-liter V6 with around 290 horsepower and 265 pounds-ft of torque. It's simple, reliable, and made for people who just need a functional truck without spending too much money. Then you have the 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6. This engine delivers about 325 horsepower and 400 pounds-ft of torque. It feels much stronger in daily driving, especially because of the turbochargers that give you power early. Next comes the 5.0-liter V8. This is the classic choice. Around 400 horsepower and 410 pounds-ft of torque. It's known for durability, sound, and a more traditional driving feel. Many buyers still prefer it for its simplicity. But the real standout is the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. This engine can produce up to 400 horsepower and around 500 pounds-ft of torque. It's extremely powerful and perfect for towing heavy loads without struggling. And if you want something more advanced, there's also a hybrid version. It combines a 3.5-liter engine with an electric motor, delivering about 430 horsepower and 570 pounds-ft of torque. It's powerful and surprisingly efficient. Speaking of towing, the Ford F-150 can pull up to around 14,000 pounds when properly equipped. That's one of the highest numbers in its class. It's built for serious work, not just everyday driving. Now let's talk about fuel economy. Depending on the engine, you're looking at around 17 to 25 miles per gallon. The hybrid can get close to 25 mpg combined, which is impressive for a full-size truck. But let's be honest, this is still a truck. Once you start towing or carrying heavy loads, fuel consumption goes up fast. That's something many first-time buyers underestimate. On the road, the F-150 feels better than most people expect. The steering is light, the ride is smooth, and it's surprisingly easy to drive for such a large vehicle. Especially on highways, it feels stable and comfortable. The suspension setup includes independent front suspension and a solid rear axle with leaf springs. This setup is designed for strength and durability, especially when carrying heavy loads. Depending on the version, you can also get off-road packages. These include upgraded suspension, skid plates, and all-terrain tires, making the truck capable of handling rough terrain easily. Tire options also vary a lot. You can have standard road tires for daily driving or aggressive off-road tires depending on how you plan to use the truck. So what is this truck really made for? It's built for people who need capability. Towing trailers, carrying tools, working on job sites, or handling tough conditions. But at the same time, it's also used for daily life. Commuting, road trips, family use. And that's what makes the F-150 so popular. It combines work and comfort in one vehicle. Now everything sounds great so far. Power, capability, comfort, versatility. But here's the question, what's the catch? Because there is always a catch. And in part 2, we're going deeper into what nobody tells you. The real problems, maintenance costs, interior quality, and who should actually buy this truck. Now let's get into what most people don't talk about, because this is where your decision can completely change. The Ford F-150 looks perfect on paper, but real ownership is where the truth starts to show. Let's begin with the interior, because this is one of the most important factors for daily use. The F-150 has improved a lot over the years, especially in newer models, but your experience depends heavily on the trim level. If you go for higher trims like Lariat, King Ranch, or Platinum, the interior feels almost like a luxury SUV. You get leather seats, large screens, premium materials, and a very modern design. But if you choose a base model like XL or even XLT, things change quickly. You'll notice more plastic, simpler finishes, and a more work-focused environment. It's not bad, but it's not premium either. This leads directly into price. The F-150 starts at a reasonable price, but once you add options, it becomes expensive very fast. Many models easily reach $60,000 or more in the United States. And at that price point, people expect a lot. They start comparing it to luxury SUVs, not just trucks. That's where expectations can become a problem for some buyers. Now let's talk about technology, because this is one of the strongest points of the F-150. The SYNC system is modern, responsive, and easy to use in most situations. You get features like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, large touchscreens, and digital instrument clusters. Everything feels up to date, especially in newer models. There are also advanced features like Pro Power Onboard, which allows the truck to act as a generator. This is extremely useful for work sites or outdoor trips. Another highlight is driver assistance technology. Adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring, and even semi-autonomous driving with Blue Cruise. These features make long drives much easier and more comfortable, especially on highways in the United States. Now let's talk about comfort. The cabin is large, spacious, and designed for long drives. Crew cab versions offer a lot of legroom, even for rear passengers. Seats are comfortable, especially in higher trims with heating and ventilation. Long road trips feel easy in this truck. However, ride quality still depends on how the truck is configured. It's comfortable, but it's still a truck, not a luxury sedan. Now we move into one of the most important topics, reliability. The F-150 has a strong reputation overall, but it is not perfect. Some engines, especially early EcoBoost versions, have had issues like carbon buildup, turbo wear, and timing chain concerns. These problems don't happen to everyone, but they are common enough to be worth considering before buying. The 10-speed automatic transmission is another mixed topic. Some owners love it, others report rough shifting or hesitation in certain situations. These issues are more common in earlier production years, but they still appear in discussions among owners. Now let's talk about maintenance. Owning a truck like the F-150 is more expensive than owning a sedan. Everything is bigger: tires, brakes, oil capacity. This means higher costs for basic maintenance. Oil changes cost more, tires wear out faster, and brake components are more expensive to replace. If you choose a turbocharged engine, long-term maintenance can become even more expensive. However, there is a positive side. Parts are easy to find in the United States, and most mechanics know how to work on this truck. That helps keep labor costs reasonable compared to more complex or rare vehicles. Now let's talk about fuel economy in real life. Official MPG numbers look decent, but real-world results can vary a lot. If you drive mostly on highways without heavy loads, you can get close to the advertised numbers. But if you tow, carry heavy cargo, or drive in the city, fuel consumption increases significantly. This is something many first-time truck buyers underestimate, especially if they are coming from smaller cars. Now let's talk about size. The F-150 is a large truck, and that can be a challenge in daily use. Parking in tight spaces, driving in crowded cities, and maneuvering in small areas can be difficult. This is something you need to consider if you live in an urban environment. Now let's talk about the best and worst years. If you're buying used, this is extremely important. Newer models from 2021 and above are generally considered better. They have improved technology, updated interiors, and refined performance. Some older models, especially from the mid-2010s, may have more reported issues depending on the engine. Research is essential before buying. Not all F-150s are equal. Now let's talk about resale value. This is one of the strongest advantages of the F-150. It holds its value very well in the US market, especially popular configurations and well-maintained trucks. This means you can recover a good portion of your investment when selling. Now let's talk about who this truck is really for. This is the most important part of your decision. If you need a truck for work, towing, hauling, or outdoor activities, the F-150 is one of the best choices available. It offers capability that most vehicles simply cannot match. But if you don't need those features, things change. Using a truck for simple daily commuting may not make sense. You'll spend more on fuel, more on maintenance, and deal with a larger vehicle than necessary. Now here comes the final verdict. Is the Ford F-150 worth it in 2026? The answer is yes, but only for the right person. If you need power, capability, and versatility, this truck is absolutely worth it. But if you're buying it just because it looks good or because it's popular, it may not be the best decision. In my opinion, the Ford F-150 is one of the best trucks in the United States, but it's not for everyone. And understanding that difference is exactly what will save you money and help you make the right choice.